So we're going to just go right into our opening review, and I'm actually going to turn to Albin, because we haven't seen him in a while.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
So pressure,
good to have you back,
yeah,
by the way.
Okay.
Pressure is on.
Really good to have you back.
Okay.
Mhm.
They were really getting boring.
Yeah. I couldn't even watch the show without me. It was horrible. Yeah, it was terrible. So,
It's the same
all right.
thing my
So,
mom said.
all right. So, Ink. Let's see. It was a really interesting sci-fi fantasy type of film. I honestly did not like it very much at first. I think part of the low budgetness of it and the indiness of it really took away from it, and it hurt the film, especially with some of the ways that things were shot, some of the dialogue and whatever. With that said, it grew on me throughout the course of the film, and I felt like it just got better as it went along. So I would say that if you ever start to watch this, make sure you stick through to the end. Otherwise, you're just going to leave bitter and disappointed, I think.
Well, I left bitter and disappointed even at the end.
Serious.
I applaud the. Oh, you!
Wow.
That was a party foul.
Continue.
I applaud the ambitiousness of this movie. I enjoyed a lot of the visuals, but the story was muddled. The acting was atrocious in places.
I'm glad you qualified it. Yeah, in places.
Yeah, in places.
In places.
The acting was atrocious in places.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the characters were just like the storyteller character, the woman. She was basically, we need someone to do exposition, so we'll throw her in there. That's how she felt for me. At the end, the plot just didn't make sense. It didn't come together. Like which one was real, which one wasn't. There was no sense of a timeline. Yeah. I thought it was visually impressive, and like I said, I applaud what they were trying to do. But a lot of it was just straight taken from other movies and done better in those movies. And I just literally halfway through, I was like, "Oh God, I want this to be over." It was just awful.
Tom is wincing over here. Go ahead, Tom. Yeah.
Chomping at the bit.
Chomp away.
I agree with what Alvin said about it. It was difficult to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd say, first 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Once I got past that, I was really engaged. This is actually one of my favorite movies that I've ever seen.
Whoa. Wow.
Wow.
Ouch.
Ever.
Wow. Why?
I got to the end.
I still love it.
I got to the end and I watched the end a second time.
Oh,
actually,
that end is
the end
beautiful. So good.
It actually made me cry both times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because the dialogue is just so good.
Well, how come
it's so spiritually profound.
It really is. Yeah. No, I agree with what Tom and Albin have said, and somewhat what you have said.
It's the secondary characters that the acting was really bad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Most of the problems with the film are like budgetary constraints.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
Well,
you can't afford very good supporting actors, but I thought the leads.
Yeah, the leads were good.
The leads were pretty good.
Yes.
The main guy is kind of weak in some of his like business scenes where he's a bad businessman.
Oh yeah.
But the scenes where it was like him meeting his wife.
Mm-hmm.
That scene where he meets her on the bus.
Oh, that was such a wonderful scene.
That was so wonderful and just cute, and he was really, really good in that.
Yeah.
I had a hard time like identifying with him because, he has a daughter, right? And he loves her, and but the grandparents come along and take her away, and he writes her off. At that point, I was like, okay, so someone takes her away, and you're like, well, she's off my hands now. And that was his attitude. Yeah. I could not. After that, I was like, I want nothing to do with this.
Well, no, but there was that struggle of the film, really. Yeah, it's him.
That scene coming back. The scene where he's revisiting the courtroom, where he's sitting in the courtroom and then he walks in behind himself.
Yeah,
I think redeems what you're talking about because he's just sitting there like taking it, like wallowing in his shame. But when he walks in and is watching it from outside himself, he starts to scream.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and then this movie has really come out of nowhere. It's fascinating to see how it kind of spreads and how people talk about it. And it really is what we would define as a buried film, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the sense that it doesn't have a wide release. Mm-hmm. Now, when we talk about buried films, we're called buried cinema, so let's talk a little bit about what that means to us, what our definition of that is. Is that simply just that it's an independent film? does there have to be something more? What does it mean to be a buried film? And maybe how does Ink fall into that?
This started out on the Rampad, with the Dream Team article,
right?
And I'd want to just do like articles about movies that have been forgotten over time, or got a much more limited release, but also movies that I like, that I liked. The difference here is that we can pick a movie that none of us have seen, so we don't know if we're actually going to
like
be good, but a movie that still, like for me personally, even if a movie's not as great, I still think it deserves a wider audience, like, to be talked about and all that kind of thing. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's...
And this is a big example. I think this film really deserves a wider audience. I think that just for the fact of its message of, when you get right down to fear versus hope, I
agree with that.
And hope actually triumphing in the end is really...
And the ambition of the filmmakers. I think that's the thing that I did enjoy about this film, is I could see what they were going for, what they wanted to do, and I really appreciated that. I just don't think they pulled it off. But I think that's another thing that maybe is part of a buried film, is that it's a film that isn't just dialing it in. It's doing something interesting, or at least is, we've heard is doing something interesting. So it's not just a Dear John or some cast-off, romantic comedy that's been forgotten justly so.
There are a lot of movies that get buried, that get pushed to the side and should be.
Yeah.
And they can stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not in this case. Yeah.
All right, we're going to move into our next segment. This week, instead of doing Flick Chart, we're going to be talking about kind of a year in review, 2010 in review, best films, worst films. So we'll get right into it. What did you guys think was the best film of the year?
I will go first. My best film of the year would be True Grit. I was really impressed with how the entire movie was put together. It pulled me right in from within the first 5 minutes. Beautiful soundtrack, really well acted. All the characters were outstanding, and the acting was great. So I really enjoyed it, and it would be a movie that I feel like I could take anyone to go see. So that helps it a lot to know that it's universally reachable.
That's my movie of the year too.
Well, too bad I already picked it.
Well,
yeah.
No, it's such an amazing movie, and like I said when we were reviewing it, I was just enthralled every second of the movie. I just loved it, from beginning to end. Everything about it, it's flawless. I've been begging people to go see it again with me. So.
Yeah. And we've been telling you no.
Yeah. Sometimes hitting me.
Yeah.
Throwing things.
I'll go see it again. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah. We should go see it again. Yeah.
It's very good. But
you're invited too.
my favorite of the year is also the same time period. The end of the year here is Black Swan. Black Swan, I thought was the best movie of the year, even though it just completely disturbed me. The acting was phenomenal. Visually, it was so amazing, just shockingly beautiful. It's the film for me that has generated the most discussion with other people. I talk with somebody else who's seen Black Swan, and we'll just keep going. It's an immediately built a discussion. It's amazing how much depth there is to that film and how much talking points. Love it.
This is actually difficult for me because my favorite movie was Toy Story 3 by far. But the one that I'm hoping kind of takes the awards is The Social Network. Just because I think it's an important movie.
Yeah,
it's pretty perfect all the way through.
Yeah.
It also kind of just blew away my expectations because even though I knew it was Aaron Sorkin and David Fincher, just because of the subject matter, I didn't know what to expect.
Yep. But talking about it all the way up, it's just kept on Facebook movie.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. It did not deserve to be as amazing as it was.
And then I watch it, just every minute of the entire movie was just amazing.
Yeah.